Happy Easter, everybody. This is episode 398 of FMA Discussion. I want to say, like I said again, happy Easter. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to your side of the world or wherever you're at. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with Mahaguru Nara with his sound. So we're going to try to work that out right now. Hopefully, when we bring him on, he'll be able to hear us. Not thinking you can hear us now, so give me a thumbs up. But I want to also thank everybody for watching. I know it's late in the East Coast, and it's Easter Sunday, so thank you for sharing part of your life, part of your time with us, watching me do this interview, and really appreciate it. And like I said, thank you for the support. Hit the like and subscribe button and share. This is a part of the ongoing interviews I'm doing of practitioners of CELOT. I'll also be doing some FMA people maybe next month, so look out for that. But let's go ahead and, without further ado, bring up Mahaguru Nara, the man of the hour, the reason that you came to watch this interview today. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him up now. Mahaguru Nara, good morning to you.
Greetings, salam hormat. How are you?
Doing good. We had a little technical difficulties there. I was telling everybody, but we're good to go, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing started. So we just kind of picked up yesterday where we kind of left off with discussing your system and your bladesmithing and your other stuff you're doing. So guys, at the end of the show, we're doing some demos. Mahaguru doing some demos of the Janawi. But I'm going to go ahead and let Mahaguru introduce the system. So this one from yesterday, we're just going to go ahead. I want to butcher it again, so I'm just going to kind of go ahead and let you say it. The sword system that he has is very unique. It's a family system. It's very old, and the techniques are with this bladed weapon called the Janawi, which is a kind of a long saber type weapon that they use in the system. So I just want to go ahead and start where we know we were talking a little bit yesterday about the family system and everything, but let's talk about you for a minute, Mahaguru. Let's talk about how you got started in martial arts, like your history and what brought you into this whole thing of getting this system with the Janawi and the whole sword thing that you do. Like, let's just go ahead and start from the beginning. So, like, how did you get started in all this?
All right. First and foremost, this system is not the only martial art that I am practicing, or rather was practicing. It was taught to me by my father informally. So this is kind of a father-son thing, whenever you have the time. It's not really a formal school kind of thing. And I've always been interested in swords ever since I was small. So I naturally took on to it. And as I got older, I joined, officially, I joined a Silat school, Silat Cekak Malaysia. Okay, that was during my university years. I was in there for quite some time, and I learned a lot about more on the management side of Silat. So in between that, I had some mostly informal Iaido, Genjutsu, even a bit of other types of Silat. But my main one has always been Silat Cekak, and of course Sukma Kencana. So what got me into Sukma Kencana? Why am I teaching it now? As you've mentioned previously, this is a family system, and so happens that I am the last of my line.
Oh, wow.
I'm an only child, so I don't have any brothers or sisters to who could help propagate the system, the art. And one day it just dawned on to me. I mean, if I don't do this, who's going to continue the legacy?
Yeah.
So I decided to use my experience in the other organizations um, to come up with a proper syllabus, a proper curriculum for this swordsmanship, this Malay swordsmanship. See, because when you talk about swordsmanship, there is currently only one official Malay swordsmanship school in Malaysia. There are other systems, but they are rare, and I would say they possibly they are not even registered.
Mhm.
They're like these village type schools, small schools. I mean, that
Oh,
so for
your connections is starting to cut out a little bit. You're starting to freeze. Guys, we knew this was probably going to happen. He's all the way in Malaysia, so the signal's not that good over there. We're probably going to have him come in and come out. Okay, we lost him. This is probably bound to happen, as with most interviews with people are that far overseas. The connection's not the best. So we're going to try to see if we can get him back on again right now. But like he was saying, in Guru Dean's right, a lot of systems are starting to fade out with no successors. So obviously, this even Silat, any martial arts is not immune to having systems die out with no successor to come in. Okay, he's coming back in again. Let's see if we can get this started again, guys. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gotta love technology, right? Sometimes shit happens, and this is what happens. It's part of the thing to be expected when you're kind of messing somebody so far away. Hopefully, like I said, in the show, he'll do some. We talked about he'll do some demos with this Janawi sword that he has. Like you said, it's more like a saber. So let's see if we can bring him in. He's still having some problems coming in. Let's see if we can log back in again. And let's see. Okay, he's not there. Okay. Sorry, guys. Like I said, technology sucks sometimes, but shit happens. And when you're live, anything can happen, guys. Anything can happen. So this is no exception. So we're going to give him a couple of minutes to get his connection rebolstered again and then have him log in. So I hope everybody's having a good Easter. And enjoying their day off, their night off. But yeah. Yep. You knew that was going to happen. We talked about that already. This is probably going to happen. I think they're having a storm over there or something. So I think that might be affected. Okay, he said he's ready to come in, but I don't see any camera. So we're going to have to... I don't see his camera. Okay, there he is. Okay, he's coming back in again. There we go. We're back. We're going to talk about that right now. Yeah, I was just about to start juggling fruit right now to make up for the time. We were talking about you were talking about you were the only child, and that sometimes, like you said, you had to carry the system on. Sometimes systems die out. So I was going to let you continue.
Okay, so I mean, I see Guru Dean saying that it happens to a lot of other systems as well. Yeah, that is true. I mean, in the past week alone, we have lost a couple of really I'm sure you know. We
I've
lost
seen
a
the posts. Yeah, that's a shame. A lot of the older conductors
older
are dying out.
generation.
Yeah,
Yep, they're dying out.
Mahagurus.
So,
Yeah.
yep, it's a loss. So right now, among the things that I'm asking people to do from other schools is that get their stuff written down. At least have it presented in a seminar, or have a small book or booklet written about it. At
A
least
proper
if
syllabus.
yeah,
Yeah.
proper syllabus. So I'm not trying to uh, play the devil's advocate here, but this we need this kind of thing. And so I when it came to me, I decided, no, we need to do something about this. Otherwise, it's just going to disappear, and it's going to be a loss to the community, because swordsmanship systems in Malaysia, or even in silat in general, is very rare. And
Hmm.
it is perhaps due to the weapon itself, because back then, I mean, hundreds of years ago, from what I understand, swords are not as popular as they were in Europe. I mean, in Europe, basically, every soldier has a sword.
Yeah.
But in our region here, in the Nusantara or Southeast Asia, Philippines included, swords are usually uh, worn or used by an elite group of warriors, or even the royalties themselves. So
Mhm.
the art of the sword is it was jealously guarded. You see, so that's why if you look at, according to Prof. Ja, there's like 450 silat systems in Malaysia. So out of the 450, I would say less than 10 have a proper sword syllabus in them. So it shows the percentage of swordsmanship in silat itself. So if this system were to die out, we lose a great chunk of it.
With
So
the we were talking about when you're just talking right now about swords were kind of kept secret, and he said like sometimes royalty were like the only people who were taught like the ways, the to use it, the proper use and the techniques. So like kings and queens and like you said, like royal family was kind of like so the average. No, what I'm trying to say is the average everyday person that was in Malaysia at that time, that was a farmer or just a regular, just like worker, or not a nobleman. They weren't taught the techniques of the sword, unlike in FMA in the Philippines, like with the bolo and the sword was used by farmers. Everyday people were taught, and it wasn't a secret to use the blade, but it seems like the prestige kind of came with in Malaysian silat and like in Asian silat, the use of the sword, because you don't really see a whole lot of sword, and that's
yeah,
what I was kind of drawn to this, because I've never seen a sword, especially like the one that you used in silat. Like I said, it's always was the golak and the keris and.
yep.
But I wanted to go, like you said, when we were talking about how you got started and it was your family system. Um, so your father, and obviously he kind of mastered the type of sword that you used. Was it something that like he was? Did he actually use that in battle, or was it more like a kind of like a
Well,
just
by
traditional
his
art?
time, it was more of the skill was more of an inherited skill.
Uh,
So by the time, about 3 or 4 generations ago, the system had been it was used for battle before, but
mhm.
3 or 4 generations ago, it was. I mean, we didn't really have need to use the sword back then, because my great grandfather, he was a preacher,
Oh, wow.
so he used it to defend himself, not really to like fight wars, and and not to become a leader of a war party or something like that.
Mhm.
So it was more of a for his own self defense.
Oh, okay. So in World War II, like when the Japanese like were around that area, was that used by any Malaysian fighters? Like kind of like the bola was used against the Japanese by the Filipinos in World War II, and even like the colonization. So was the Janawi, the sword that you used, was it used like against the Japanese in World War II? And I'm a military buff. I mean, I was in the military, so I
Yeah.
just want to know if that was actually used against Japanese soldiers, like those techniques, and that sword was actually used in combat like in World War II or not.
Okay. There's one thing that we need to understand is
Mhm.
that the Janawi is not unique to Sukma Kencana. I
Mhm.
mean, it was a Malay sword, so there were a few other systems that used it,
Mhm.
and in fact, even my own generation, you see, when the Japanese came to Malaya back then, they confiscated everything, any
Oh,
type of weapon, and they destroyed the forges. Some even say they killed off the smiths. So whoever had any weapon had to either throw it away or hide it somewhere.
mhm.
And but I'm sure some of these Janawi were used against the occupational forces.
Mhm.
And as a matter of fact, I think I should show you an older example. It's not from my family, but I managed to get it. It's about 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
You'll excuse me for a bit.
Okay, we're both frozen.
Okay, this is. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it. Mahaguru, I
Uh,
see it.
so this
Wow.
is the original form of the Janawi. It's very. By this time, it's gotten to be very basic. So this was about made about 100 years ago. That means it was made during after World War One and before World War Two. So as you can see, it's kind of roughly made. Let me just take it out of the scabbard here.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, yeah.
here's your.
So another question I had on this, because I seen the sword. Did this sword have any uh like, was the katana influenced on the design of this? Because it kind of looks similar, kind of to katana, but not really like one. But kind of like
Yeah.
the way the blade curvature is, and the handle, and the suba,
Uh,
the guard, and stuff like that.
yep. Yep. Some scholars say that the Jadawi descended from the katana,
Uh-huh.
but from what I learned, my sources is it's not. They, I would not even say they are related actually, because
Mhm.
these swords develop independently, and
Mhm.
like we said yesterday, they existed from Sumatra to uh, Japan and China. So we have similar swords in all those regions.
Mhm.
It would be unfair to say that the Janawi evolved from the katana, because it was here way before the Japanese came.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was mentioned in older manuscripts. It was mentioned in the olden tales.
yeah,
So the word Janawi has been mentioned way before that. That means the sword existed here even before the Japanese occupation. And the Japanese started to come here uh, only quite recently, I would say.
yeah,
The sword existed before that. So, yeah, but the similarity is uh, is there.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Definitely can see the. It seems like most of the swords in that region are one culture or another has a sword that's similar to that, at least one design that's to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could definitely can see that. We got a couple of people joining in. Gurudeen has left some comments in there. If you guys are watching, tell us where you guys are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button. Gurudeen has a question. He says, "Is Ber Salat a generic term for Malaysian silat?"
Bersilat.
Yes.
Okay, bersilat is an adjective. Actually, it means to perform silat. Bersilat. So the noun there is, or the noun there is silat. So bersilat means to perform or to practice silat.
Oh, okay. Hope that answered your question, Gurudeen. So getting back to the system that you have. So would it be fair to say the whole system is kind of developed around the Janawi as far as like the techniques? But you also said yesterday, and I think we talked about this, that there's actually knife and there's other weapons you have as well. So would you care to explain and show to our audience that knife we're talking about yesterday? Because we just don't want to. I don't want to focus always on the Janawi. I kind of want to just have you explain your whole system so people get an idea of what also is involved in it.
Okay, basically the system is based on the Janawi, but being a battlefield system, you do not rely on one weapon alone.
Yes.
I mean, if you drop your sword, then what you gonna do?
Yeah.
You need to have backup weapons, and you being in the military, you know that. I mean, you drop your
Yes.
rifle, you got
Yes,
your
Mahaguru, I know.
and you back, you got your dagger,
Yeah.
your So yesterday we talked about the grace. Okay, I have one here. I'm sure you're familiar with this.
Yes, Mahaguru. Yep.
And this is also quite familiar in the Philippines. I mean, the bigger version of it, the Moro craze you call, or what we call the Sundang, which shows that we're all together in this. We're all one people.
That's why. Yeah. Yes. That's why I tell everybody. Yeah.
Until the Spaniards came, of course.
Yeah.
But then again, before that, this was the unifying image of the Malay peoples. So everywhere that in the area who had this, it means they are of one, shall we say, it's not ethnicity, it's more like a group of similar culture. So the Kris is one of the weapons that are being taught in the system, but I'm not. We currently we're not focusing on it because, like I said, we focus on the Jinawi. We do have a Kris syllabus, so but we do not enforce the learning of the Kris in our system. If you want to learn it, then you're allowed to, and we'll have short courses and so on and so forth. So to teach the Kris. So this is one, and then we have the tumbuk ladder. Okay, this is a tumbuk ladder.
Oh wow! It's like a small knife, combat knife, right? Or a small knife.
It's like a combat knife. Okay, so this is a typically Sumatran weapon, but it is also widespread in the peninsula.
You know what I noticed about Mahaguru about those weapons? Like they always have that slight curve to them. Is there a reason why they have that curve to them that kind of goes like down or?
Yeah, there's a practical reason to it. You see, because when you're talking about the tumbuk ladder, for example, the slight curve actually contributes to a wider cut, especially when you're thrusting with it. So when you thrust with it, rather than having a straight blade, this curve will cause the dagger to cut more. You see, either this way or this way. So when you stab with it, it will automatically rip out.
Oh wow.
So when you hold it this way, it's kind of like a gramophone with a very long blade, of course. Uh, okay, so this is why if you look at most Malay weapons, for example, even the grace I have here, okay, it is not purely straight.
Yeah, it's
There's a
awful.
slight bend to it. So when you thrust with this, it will cut. It will open up the wound automatically as you thrust. But in our system, the crease is not used just to thrust. It's got like 40 movements.
Mhm.
So that is why I do not enforce the learning of the crease, because the Janawi alone has, it takes considerable time to master. So if you're
The-
interested in learning about the crease or the tumbuk ladder, then we have separate seminars for that, separate courses for that. And
what I noticed about those weapons, it almost looks like when you fillet fish, like a
yeah,
fillet knife.
mm-hmm.
It's almost similar in design. I could tell it's a slashing weapon and thrusting. But yeah, you won't want to get, you definitely would not want to get slashed by that thing. I think open you right up. Yeah.
There's
Um,
one more. There's one more that we talked about yesterday, the Wali Jantan. This
yeah,
is
that's
a
what I
Wali.
want people to see. Yeah.
This is a Wali Jantan. What's unique about this weapon came from the northern peninsula, the northern side of the peninsula.
Mm.
So what's unique about it is that you hold it
It's
with
like
the
upside
edge
down.
up. Yeah, it looks like it is upside down. So this is how you hold it. You don't hold it that way. You hold it this way. So
Oh,
the edge
that's
is upwards.
strange.
And why would we hold it that way? Because of the same reason the other weapons were curved, whereas this one is rather straight. So by holding it this way, when you stab and when you retract the blade, you will cut out.
Oh, so
It will
the
slice
edge
out.
is on top.
Yes, the edge is on top.
That's
And down
very
here
smart design.
is got a very thick spine. You can see there. So this can also act as a concussion weapon because it's very thick.
Wow.
And I was told that this weapon was also used during the Kedah Siamese Wars,
Oh,
because the Siamese had armor. So this was basically a sort of a rondel dagger that you used to penetrate the armor, the links between the armor.
what a
It goes
man.
through leather just like if you're wearing a leather, it goes through leather like hot knife through butter.
Wow.
And it goes through chainmail as well. It goes between the links of the chainmail. So it's
Just the thought and
basically an anti-armor
designing that
weapon.
thing. Like, who thought of like? It's like just to think of something like that design. It looks strange, but it makes sense, and it's like, yeah, I love that thing. That's awesome.
And I'll be teaching this and the Janawi during Professor Jack's summer camp in Malaysia in July.
Oh,
So
okay.
those who are coming to Malaysia for the summer camp, you're going to be learning this.
Wow.
Okay. So basically, that's the weapons that we have in the system, the shorter ones.
So your system consists of, like I said, long range, and you got the close range
Mhm.
use of the Chris, and then the I can't pronounce that knife, but
And
so
okay,
there's different things.
before we go on, there's one more that, okay, I'm sure this one's gonna freak you out.
Just these
Okay,
weapons are fast. Wow.
can't even get it in this.
How long is that, Mahaguru? How long is that thing?
It's the whole thing is 6 feet long.
Wow.
Okay, this is also a Janawi, but
That is awesome.
oops.
Oopsie.
Extra large version of the Janawi.
So is that like for when they were like kind of like what's the name of the I forgot the name of the there was a Japanese blade or a Chinese blade he used to cut the cut horses' legs or something like that.
Itachi, is it?
Yeah, Atachi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the Malay version of the field sword, or the Japanese. Actually, it's closer to the Japanese nagamaki because of the proportions.
Well, why is the design so big on those swords though? I mean, obviously for range, but like, what was the main reason why they're so long and so wide? Like, is it to kill like horses, like cavalry, or is it like to reach your enemy keeping yourself at a safe distance? Like we say, Largo in Filipino martial arts is like long distance, then corto and medio. Corto is short and medio is like medium range. So those are all long range weapons. But why? My question is, Mahaguru, is if you can answer it, why are they so big in stature and so long? What is the reason behind that design?
Okay, for us, this we call it the Janawi Medan or the field Janawi. The reason for the size is that it is what it is. It is a field sword, so it is an anti-infantry weapon initially. It can also be used against cavalry, but in Malay warfare, we don't really have much cavalry action, but we do have infantry. So this is what they use to counter the masses of infantry with their spears and shields.
So if you were to slash that thing, you could probably take out 2-3 guys at once just with one.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking about that. That's why it's so long.
There was I found a verse in one of the older poems that this type of weapon was used against horses.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They cut the legs out, right?
Yep. Either they cut the legs of the horses, or they are long enough to reach the riders themselves. Because if you use a normal, say a parang, you can't reach the rider. But with this thing, you're definitely up there.
And that's what's fascinating with these weapons, because like in Filipino martial arts, like that, most weapons are short and small. I think Grandmaster Leo Goron had a long. Gurudini probably know the name of it. It was a long bolo, and he used it against the Japanese. And it's kind of similar. I think it's called a tasalong or something like that. You might have seen pictures of it. It's really long, but that's the same idea, what you're saying the Janawi is used for. They reach out further for the Japanese soldiers to take them out. Or thrust is real far, keep you in safe distance. So I think
the concept is quite similar to the Chinese Miao Dao as well. I've got one back here. So it's range. Okay, so you get more range with a longer weapon, and the other guy has a shorter weapon, so you can reach him much easier.
Pick him out, yeah. Is that thing? Is it? What would you say the weight would be in that? Is it kind of heavy, or is it kind of light, or?
If I remember correctly, it's not even 2 kilograms. It's like 1.5, 1.8.
So the blade's really light.
Yes. It's not that heavy. It's a long blade. Yeah, it flexes because, actually, anything above 20, 30 inches will flex. Because if you have a stiff blade that long, it will break easily.
Yeah.
It does have some flex in it, but not like the ornamental or the competition Tai Chi swords. It's got some flex in it.
That's awesome.
Keep it from breaking.
Thank you for sharing that. I've never seen those before, and I'm glad people got to see them, because like everybody sees, the bolos, and yeah. And I'm not saying anything bad about Filipino blades. It's that it's different to see something more unique. You know what I mean?
Actually, the original blades very hard to find. So the one that I showed you just now is more of our interpretation of it. I mean, we've got descriptions and
Hmm.
of these weapons. So when they say Janawi to cut down a horse, then this is what uh, came to mind. And if you look at some Laotian weapons from Laos,
Yeah.
we do have these immense da. They're like, the blades alone are 40 to 50 inches long. So they exist. Only that maybe, like I told you before, during the Japanese occupation, most of these weapons were confiscated by the Japanese.
Well,
And
for good reason, I'm sure. Just see how big they are. Yeah, it's um I want to talk. I want to talk about. So you talked about your family system and the different weapons that you use in it. Is there any empty hand techniques, or is it just all weapons based?
um, we are a predominantly weapons based style, but the principles of the uh, system that we use for the weapons can also be used in empty hand combat.
Oh wow.
So especially those involving the shorter weapons. So it's just a matter of removing the weapon.
Yeah, yeah, it translates. Yeah, to the thing in there. Um,
Yep.
so with the I was just thinking about the weapons, how big they are, but the people obviously are short. So, did they have a hard time like using the weapons like in battle, or were they really effective? Like, what I mean, just because of the size and you're a short person, you're swinging that much, around like that, or did it not have any effect at all, like as far as technique wise?
Well, technique wise, I would say the only thing that you need to do is get out of the way.
Yeah, yeah,
When you see somebody with that thing, you just stay
yeah. You're not.
away from it. When he starts to swing, he just doesn't care.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
going down. There's no technique. You're just you're going down.
he'll just go around and swing the thing. I mean, basically that's the idea. You don't want people to come in. And these elite soldiers, they would have been positioned at strategic locations like maybe bridgeheads,
Mm,
maybe at palace entrances, where one person can stop a whole
several, yeah.
ring of several.
It,
And
uh,
on top of that, we also encourage our members to learn archery. So I'm an archer myself. So that means we have the short
oh,
weapons, we have the longer ones, and the very long ones, and also airborne weapons, ballistic weapons.
you know what's unique? I don't think we have. I mean, Guruddin's watching and we have a comment on it. I don't think we've had anybody who's an archer on this show. It's like the first time we've ever even talked about archery in this show. So since we're on that subject, let's elaborate on archery. What techniques you teach with the archery, and you were saying you're an archer yourself. How long have you been doing that since? I guess obviously since you've been learning the system, correct?
I started out with recurve archery, actually, sport archery, when
Mm.
I was in school. And about almost 8 years ago, I started to dabble into traditional archery because traditional archery was rather recently introduced, and but I've been into archery way before. So, and I've always wondered, what kind of bows did the Malays have? Because in the Portuguese records of their invasion of Malacca, it was said that the Malay army used uh, bows and arrows, blowguns, muskets, cannons. So we had a variety of ballistic weapons. So when they mentioned bow, I was like, okay, what did the bow like? And there was a description of the Malay bow. said that it is slightly bigger than the Turkish bow, but not as big as the was it Mongolian or Manchurian Chinese bow, something like
Yeah.
that. So something in between. That means it's like an enlarged, it's like a slightly larger, slightly longer Turkish bow.
Mm.
So, but fortunately, the art is being taught by many nowadays, and it's expanding, which is a good thing because for me, it's more of I do it more of out of hobby and interest, and also it's part of the system. So I don't really go into competitions and tournaments. It's more of a personal thing to me.
Mm. Do you have a bow there that you can show us, or you don't have one there?
Actually, yeah,
A traditional Malay bow.
it's I would say it is the Bowyer's interpretation of the Malay bow
Okay.
because we don't have any surviving examples. See, that is the problem. We have got descriptions, but we don't have. Okay, this is the one that I usually use. So it looks more like a. Can you see that?
I can see my.
Yeah,
That's fascinating that you actually. So you actually teach. You said you teach the bow in your system, then, right?
we used to, but then it came to me that what is our focus actually? You're
Yeah.
teaching the sword and teaching the grace and this and that and the bow. So in the end, I decided, okay, let's just take all these out. We focus on the sword, and if anybody
Mhm.
is interested in anything else, we hold a separate course for it.
What
So
kind? What kind of tips are you using that? Like, do you have any like? Like there's different tips that different on the
yeah,
bow. So like a traditional Malay like arrow, like what would do you have an example would look like, or what can you describe like what the tip of the actual arrowhead would look like?
the ancient bows, from what I know, they had some sort of bodkin tip, but
Oh,
the
okay.
ones that they use now are mostly field tips
Mm.
nowadays. Back then they had bodkin rod heads. So yeah, because they were used for war and for hunting, of course.
Mm.
So even the indigenous people had bows back then,
Yeah.
and some still practice them now.
You
It's,
know the fascinating about I think about those movies when they show like the line of the archers and they shoot up and they got the flaming arrows that go over and they hit the people's shields and everything. I like the bow. I like. I've never really done bow. Like I've maybe done it like once, but like it's always fascinated me with like especially medieval times or
yeah,
ancient times. Battlefield had that like when you watch the movies, they shoot the bows. That was the artillery back then before the cannons.
yep,
That
yep.
was your artillery was the bows, both the bow corps.
But
So yeah,
I think during time of Malacca, that I wouldn't say that happened because from the Portuguese records, the bows were used more like sniper rifles. They were used to
oh, for taking
snipe
out individuals.
the soldiers. Yeah, I mean they were not like mass used in masses. They were used like more like to kill specific individuals.
Like an assassin type
But
weapon.
the guns, yeah, but the guns were used in mass.
Mhm.
I mean, they had by the end of the siege, it was said that there were more than 3,000 muskets in the palace.
Oh,
So you can imagine a volley of
yeah, yeah,
bullets coming down on you.
sure. Um, so we talked about the different weapons, and a lot of people don't know this about you. And then we talked about yesterday. I wanted you to give you actually make your bladesmith, so you actually make blades yourself.
Yeah.
So how did you learn? How did you get into that? Who taught you, or are you self taught, or like you just tell us like
Okay. Um, I would say I am basically self-taught. and but it actually runs in the family. My great grandfather or great grand uncle was a smith, and yeah, I guess it's in the blood. So I picked it up, and in the beginning, I just went about it, and until I found smiths who are near me, so I went to them, and I won't say I learned, or rather learned under them, but more like we had discussions, and I saw how they work, and I went back and I tried it. We had and then if something went wrong, I would refer to them. How do we do this? How do you do that? And other than that, I also uh, get my sources from books and also from the internet. So I try to combine techniques and see what works best for swords, because most of the smiths in Malaysia, they make
Hmm.
shorter blades, and it's a different technique altogether. Because if you want to make a longer blade, you cannot make it too stiff. It needs to have some sort of flex to it. And actually, in swords, there are two types of swords: swords that flex and swords that bend. So, not to say that a sword that gets bent is a bad one, but sometimes they are designed to bend. For example, if you look at the Viking swords, they the older ones, they don't really flex, because once a chieftain dies, his sword will be bent. So if it's a flexible material, it won't stay bent. It will go straight back up. So it depends on the function and purpose of the sword. And I was informed that even katana do not flex. They have a small amount of flex, but not much. They would either break or bend.
That could have been a little bit, yeah.
It depends on the style of fighting, I suppose, and what you're going up against.
Yeah.
Because if you look at European swords, they need to flex because they go up against armor. Whereas weapons in our region, in Asia, I mean, armor is not really a thing here. Very few wear armor, and those who wear armor are usually the nobility and the high-ranking officers. So there's not many of them. It means majority of the people are unarmored, or maybe wearing padded clothing. So our weapons are more adjusted to taking care of this type of protection, rather than steel or brass armor.
Do you have your own forge, or do you actually like?
Yeah, I have a small one in the back. It's been operating for a few years now, but uh, truth be told, I only managed to make um, during the early days of the school.
Mhm.
I made my own swords, but as we grew, and as the demand for the swords increased, I found that I didn't really have time to.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. That's
Yeah,
People don't realize. I mean, they see YouTube videos, guys making these little knives and stuff, and make it a sword. The quenching it, folding it, hammering it, getting it formed. It's a lot of
yep,
work.
yep. It's a lot of work. So I decided to look around for smiths that whom I can trust, and who can follow my directions to the T.
Mhm.
And I found a couple of them, and so I had them make the basic shape of the blade, and I did the finishing, because if like you said, it's a lot of work.
It is, yeah. I've never made. I'm a fabricator. I've been doing fabrication now for 28 years. Kinds of metal, aluminum, steel, stuff like that. So I know what it's like to hand form parts, and it's definitely, it takes a skill and art, patience. It's not something everybody can do, especially let alone make a sword. It's like, I mean, knives are, not to take away from knife makers.
Knives are a different thing. I mean,
yeah, they're a totally different animal than a sword. Yeah, totally different animal than a sword.
I got an example here. This is one of my recent works, but the blade was, like I said, made by another space, but I finished it. So this one is slightly different in that it's got a black blade.
Yeah, like a carbon kind of.
So
That's awesome.
I tend to customize the blades. I mean, sometimes I feel like, okay, this one should be black.
Are any of those blades? Do you offer those for sale to the public, or are they just kind of just for your student?
Yes, actually, they are offered for sale. So,
yeah, at the end of the show, we're going to go ahead and we'll talk about where to get them at and everything. I think, yeah, I want one. So that's why I'm like hinting around. You're like, hey, so anyway, we can get those swords. I love that sword. So, so like you were saying yesterday, the Janawi is actually, like you said, a type of saber, not really like a sword per se, right? Like you wouldn't call it a sword, more of a saber, you said, right?
Yep. It is basically a two-handed saber. So I have here, we have 10 different versions of the Janawi in the school. So this is another one. As you can see, the blade is very
thin.
Slender. It's got a slender blade. So this one is lighter than the previous one. That one weighs in at about 900, 800 something grams. This one is only 600 grams. So it's a more agile and it's a faster blade, so to say.
But what kind of wood is used for the handle, Mahaguru?
This wood is called arang bunga. I'm not sure about the English name.
Beautiful.
But maybe I'll put it up once I find out the scientific name. Then maybe we can know what it is. Yeah, it's got a very nice grain to it. So it's
that is awesome.
Got that black and brown.
Just the craftsmanship of that thing is amazing. Craftsmanship. I'm a stickler for attention to detail. I mean, for my job, attention to detail. I work on aircraft, so attention to detail is life or death for me. So I have to make sure when I make my parts and everything that there's no stress crack. You know what I mean? So I like when people pay attention to detail, like with a polishing, to get those little, I'm really going to call it like a over compulsive, or someone that's like, something falls on the ground, like you pick it up and like people are like, like when I see like a wood, if there's like a little burr or a piece of metal is a burr, I have to go back and like I sand it out, and it's just those little details that make craftsmanship of a blade. Especially if someone's paying a lot of money for it, you want that thing to be, damn near perfect. So I can't see it up close, but I can already know where it is. It's just amazing craftsmanship.
For me, I would rather have a blade that is not perfectly formed. I would rather have a blade that still needs some work to it, because I can do it myself. I mean, not to say me, but any of my students, I would like them to do that as well, because I want them to have the experience to work on their own blade, and in a way to develop a relationship with that sword, rather than just buying it and it's perfect and just use it. No, I want them to work on it, customize it, make it theirs.
And I think too, like are some makers in the United States that I know that may make some blades like that, but getting it from you is like, to me, it's like if I get an American-made katana, and it might be like perfect stuff like that, and but just getting one from Japan that actually, like a Japanese sword maker made is a little bit. I mean, that's not to take anything away from any American fabricators or craftsmanship. I'm sure there's some excellent ones out there, but for me, you get it from the source, like Professor Jack says, get it from the source. more authentic and more personal for
It's
me because,
simple. Huh?
it's different. It's different. Yeah, it's like I said, it's like getting an American katana. Some guy in his backyard can fold a katana and give me one and be like, man, this thing is almost like Kill Bill katana. It's awesome. But then if I get one from Japan and the guy ships it to me and he's a local forge maker, he has his own forge and he's doing it. To me, it's just more resonates with me. And like I said, it's just my own personal opinion. I don't know if people might disagree with me watching it, but for me, it's like to get one from over there. Like I got a couple nice from Professor Jack from the seminar, and he gave me a karambit and those balatis with a little ring on it. And the craftsmanship was excellent on both of those. But I mean, could I get a karambit from the United States? Yeah, I can. But getting one from over there is just more like, it just, I don't know. It's just, to me,
is different.
It feels different, and it just like I take more pride in it. To be honest, costume is it's great. So, like I said, with the bladesmithing and stuff like that, it definitely takes like an art, and it's not something everybody can do. So that's good. You found actual bladesmiths now that you could trust to make it to your specifications. Authentic blade. And with that being said, I've been waiting all the show to do this. If you're up to it, if I know we talked about doing some demos yesterday with the Janawi, if you're up to it and we want to go ahead and do that, I will lower myself down, Mahaguru, and I'll let you do your drills. And
yeah, sure thing. But before we get to that, if I may, I just need to get this out of the way. As we've experienced yesterday, we had certain disturbances by certain parties. So
yes.
I just had to get this out of the way, because
yeah, go ahead.
There are people who would not like to see me and a few other people, come forward. So this is why we're getting all the emojis and all the weird.
Yeah, the trolls. Yeah.
So this kind of thing, actually, it happened when Prof. Jack started to introduce me. So, but not to be on his defense or anything, Prof. Jack is a guy who opens doors. So he has his own very strict criteria of who he wants to be in his team. And perhaps I happen to fit his criteria. And he started to promote. One of the things that he told me was because that Malay swordsmanship is such a rare thing. So he's been looking for a Malay swordsman for some time, and he has not found not even one who can fit his criteria. So when he found me, it was obvious. So he had to bring me forward. And unfortunately, there are some people who, I would say, they're just jealous of this chance that I was given. But to
because
me,
maybe they feel more worthy. Yeah.
What they should have done was, he's a door opener, and I would like to call myself a door opener as well. I write for a national magazine monthly. So if these people would like to promote their art, they can just come to me and say, Nara, can you help me, promote my school? I'll be glad to do it. But apparently they went about it the wrong way. So
yeah, we're not paying attention to those haters anymore in this show.
Yeah, I know we're not paying attention either, but I just had to get it because from what I know, these people they are students or associates of people who were disappointed before. Maybe they had something with Prof. Jack before, and then something happened, and then suddenly I came into the picture. So they thought it was my fault, and well, things happen. But I just had to get this out there. And there's also an issue of there was an issue of patent because
Mhm.
I did mention some time ago that my swords are patented, but it happens that you can only patent a product before you sell it. So when I submitted the patent and sometime later it came back, it was they couldn't accept it because these swords are being sold. So my next step now is, like I told you, we have 10 different versions of the
Mhm.
Janawi, and the Mark 10 is still under development. So we're probably going to go for that. We're going to try to
Mhm.
have that patented. So at least we have one.
Yeah.
Um, it's not really an issue, I suppose, but people tend to copy things.
Mhm.
And as you know, the Janawi Sukma has a specific design. You cannot use it like you use an ordinary sword with a different system. You need to use it with the Sukma Kencana system. So that is why I am controlling the manufacture of these swords. It's not that I don't want other people to have it. I mean, you're free to buy it, to own it, you know. But to properly use it, to properly understand it, you need to learn the system, which
Yes.
is why, sorry, which is why I came up with the book I told you about yesterday.
Yes.
So the book is basically a textbook of Sukma Kencana. Right now it's in Malay, but I will translate it and hopefully either have it out to Amazon for international consumption. And I hope that once the book is out, more people will come to learn and understand what is Sukma Kencana, what is Malay swordsmanship. Uh, Because for me personally, all I want is just to share the knowledge. I'm not going for fame or you know
Mhm.
grand things. It's not in my book. I just want to share the
Yeah, we
knowledge
don't get
and
rich
keep it.
doing martial arts.
Yeah,
You know that,
unless you
Mahaguru.
get to
Yeah, some
films, I
ones get
suppose.
rich.
Unless
Yeah.
you get to acting, I suppose.
Yeah, if you're getting the acting, yeah, yeah. But thank you for clearing that all up. And yeah, we're definitely going to the book when the book comes out. Definitely have to post it on the FMA discussion. Let us know so when it gets released, so everybody can have a chance to read it and understand it. So
Yes, yes.
with that being said, let's go ahead and see the Janawi.
Okay, so for the demo, uh, I'm not going to do a full speed thing
Okay.
because what's the point of doing it full speed? You know, when you can't see anything. So I'm going to do it like how we did the triple threat seminar last time.
Yes, Mahaguru. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of in that format. So the first one will be a bit fast, and then I'm going to explain what I did, why I'm doing it, and so on. So maybe we'll go over like 2 or 3 techniques. Would that be okay?
That's fine, Mahaguru. Whatever you want to do, we're grateful and honored that you're even showing this to us. So definitely want to see it. So I'm gonna lower myself down, and then I'm gonna let you have the floor, Mahaguru. So I'm
All
gonna lower
right.
myself down.
All right, people. Uh, I'm gonna demonstrate some techniques from Sukma Kencana. So I have here with me my wife, Miss Lynn. She will be my training partner for today because of the restrictions in space, I think I'll only be able to show like half of us. Can't really see the legs. I will explain the footwork as we go. So in Summa Kencana, we have a guard stance or basic stance, which is known as Penanti Hamzah, which is basically you stand straight with the sword on your side, pointing downwards. It's a non-aggressive posture meant to de-escalate the situation. So if you were to do this, I mean, it's like you're looking for a fight. But in Summa Kencana, we do this. So we try to de-escalate the situation. We try to not get into a fight. But if the other person really wants to fight, then we'll have to take care of ourselves. Okay, so in a sword fight or with somebody with a stick or anything that is long, one of the most common strikes is to the head. So in Summa Kencana, we have basic moves to counter strikes from. Uh, we divide the body into four parts. So there is there are different counters for every part of the body. So let's say the assailant strikes at my head. Okay. What do? Some systems would run out of the way. Okay, in Summa Kencana, we don't run out of the way because we need to get back at the assailant. So at the same time, we need to stop his blade or her blade from coming onto us. What we do is, again, this. Okay, it's a very simple move because we are a battlefield technique, battlefield-based system. So we don't have any flourishes. Everything goes straight to the point. So as the blade comes in, straight up. Okay. We counter with our own blade, but as I do it slowly here, you can see that I'm using the side, the flat of the blade or the back to counter the opponent's sword. I do not do this because if I were to do this, then I would damage my edge. So when she attacks, I counter and slightly push her sword to the side as I sidestep the attack. So by sidestepping, you are out of her center line. And from there, I just proceed to do a cut to the face or the neck or the hands. So there are multiple targets here that you can achieve. So that's one. Okay, again. 1 and 2. And from here, you can proceed to either do other cuts or thrust, or there are many other strikes that you can apply. Not just using the blade, you can also use the hilt. All right, let's say another strike, slightly angled to this side. Okay, this is quite common because when you get a stick, you would normally want to bash somebody like that. So this angle is actually common in most fights. So how do you deal with this in Summa Kencana? When the blade comes in, so if I were to counter it from this side, I would hit my own face. So I counter here and go in. Okay, I can also do this when she strikes straight to the hands. Why? Because in swordsmanship, if you cannot hold your sword, then you're practically useless. So in Sukma Kencana, we teach our students to basically attack the hands or the wrist, to disable them, to cause them to be not able to hold their weapon. So basically, that is what we teach our students. We want the fight to end as soon as it started. Like I said, it's a battlefield system. So in a battlefield, you can imagine there are lots of people around you, not just one on one. It might be 4-1 or 3-1. You do not have the luxury of time to take care of one opponent and then to go to another. You might be taking care of one person and the other guy would attack. So, in such cases, let's say one opponent strikes, you need to take care of this and you need to be ready for the next one. So, as I take care of this, I can go in for the next kill. So, basically, this system is designed for one against many, but it can also be used for one-to-one duels. All right. So, what if they were to stab you? Okay, or thrust. Now, this is a kind of a very dangerous form of attack in swordsmanship. Normally, this is what will get you. It's not the cuts; it's the thrust that worries most of us. So, if that were to happen, then I can either do this, same movement, first one. I can also do this, same movement as the second one, or this. That one was actually the third one. This is a modification of the third counter. The first counter was this one, second counter, third, fourth. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is actually the modification of the fourth counter, sorry. So as you can see, we have only 4 counters. 4 parries, some say parries. In Sukma Kencana, we say sambut or receive. We have only 4, but out of these 4, you can actually develop different techniques, different moves. So Sukma Kencana is basically a core system which you can take and develop into a more complicated one if you desire. But for me, that is enough. You don't have to, for example, some people would like to go here and cut here and cut here and do that and do this. To us, that is not necessary. You can do it if you want, but it is more efficient to do this. Right? So the key word in Sukma Kencana is simplicity. We don't flourish the sword. Some people just love to do this. Okay, we do that in exercises, yes, but not in combat. In combat, the sword is there to deflect and to cut. Deflect and cut. Deflect and thrust. So that is what, for us, that's what the sword is for. All right, so that is just a glimpse of what Sukma Kencana is about. I would like to take this opportunity to promote or to ask you to come to Malaysia this summer for the Malaysian Silat Summer Camp organized by Professor Jah Osman. You can get in touch with him if you want to come over. And there will be a session with me personally where I will teach the ways of the sword and also the wali jantan. So I guess
That was awesome, Mahaguru. Thank you for showing us that demo. Tell your wife thank you very much too for being your partner. We don't want to exclude her. We want to tell her thank you. She looks kind of hot wearing all the armor and everything. So
Very much
thank
welcome.
you, thank you.
so I hope you. I hope that was informative.
It was awesome. Thank you. Is your wife a practitioner as well? Are you a practitioner, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I
she
am.
is.
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's awesome. The guys train. Yes, that's we love seeing couples that train together. They stay together. Yeah, I could tell the way she was when she was just doing it. She knew how to handle that sword, and it's definitely one.
Yeah.
It's a therapy for me actually to strengthen
Oh
my
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Get the aggression out. How long have you been doing that?
Since I got married with my husband.
Oh, okay. That was the first thing on the agenda. Skip the honeymoon. It's training swords.
Skip the honeymoon, go straight to the sword.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. I'm glad people. I mean, I know it's a small snippet, but I'm glad people got to see the sword of Janawi in some limited action, but and got people's curiosity going of what else there is, that you have to teach with that, and then the introduction of that knife as well. People, yeah, if you got a chance to go to Malaysia, I wish I could. Unfortunately, I can't because due to work. But if you guys can go down there and train with the Mahagurus down there and Professor Jack, yeah, definitely do it. That's a wealth of knowledge. Do you ever have any plans on maybe coming to the United States and teaching your system, or is it just kind of just Malaysia for now?
Yeah, we would love to.
Actually, we would love to
We would love to.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We want everybody to experience this art, not just those here. And if we get the chance to go over there, of course, definitely we would grab it.
yeah. Maybe get with Professor Jack because he's always coming over. Like I said, he came to the months ago, and maybe he can bring you, and you can. And I'll definitely go for sure if you guys come over here for sure to learn that. Gurdine says it's Sunkiti, Sao Paulo, like so. Yeah, and we do notice like a lot of the because it is the Malay world with the Philippine martial arts and Silat. A lot of techniques are not the same, but they're similar. Like, but not all the movements are the same. The footwork might be different, but there's like little subtle changes. But we see the influence where they're all connected together. You know what I mean?
They're definitely connected, definitely related. So we're all one big happy family, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely American guy over here. But yeah, that was awesome, and it's just people like I said, I hope they got to see a little bit of Janawi in action. So like we were talking about your school, you have an online school, correct, for doing Zoom and online classes, Mahaguru?
We used to have these online sessions during the pandemic because obviously we couldn't go face to face, and we had several opportunities to do online instruction with Prof. Jack. So, but I would love to do some online stuff with you guys. If anybody's interested, we can just
Yeah. That's what I was saying. If anybody's interested, to reach out to Mahaguru, Facebook Messenger, message them, and then maybe you could set privates up or somebody. I don't want to speak for you, but I mean maybe you can set something up. So they has that going on, and then I want to go back to the store because I want one of those the Janawi. So where could somebody put an order in, or like is it like a custom order, or is it like do you have them made already, or like?
Okay, previously it was custom order, but like you said, it's a lot of work. So I am also writing and teaching and doing all sorts of other stuff. So what we do now is once we have a sword ready, I will promote the sword
Is there like a wait list?
online, mostly on my Facebook or on the school's page or on my Nara martial arts page. So we'll just promote the sword there. Once it's ready, we'll put
Mhm.
it up, and if anybody is interested, just drop me a message.
So
By
is there like a wait list though? Like say if somebody wants to get one in the future, can they put their name like, hey, I want one the next one that comes, or is it first come, first serve?
For now, it is it has to be first come first serve. But hopefully in the future, once I can clear up some things, and maybe we can go for we have a list of people who are interested. Maybe they can like book their slots and put in some deposit or something, and then we start to make the swords.
Definitely put me down.
Yeah.
I want one. For sure. Next one that comes up, yeah, I would definitely want one. Um, is it also the knives too? Like that knife? Can somebody buy that knife too, or is it just
Yeah,
all?
sure. Actually,
That is a unique
actually,
knife.
this is
So
the traditional version. Okay, I'm coming up with the Sukma Kencana version. So it's got a slight design improvement to it, which I will not reveal yet.
yeah, yeah.
So, but these will be made available as well. The only thing is that sometimes the shipping companies in Malaysia they tend to be quite selective of what they send overseas. So some friends of mine said they couldn't get swords out. Some said that you have to really package it as in it's supposedly a wall hanger or something, so that they don't think that it's a real weapon. But as far as I know, according to the law, there's no law prohibiting uh, the sending of weapons from Malaysia outside.
Mm.
So abroad, I mean, send swords to the states, but it is the shipping companies that are controlling this for now. So until we get that issue resolved, some companies are willing to do it. So I just need to find the right one.
Yeah, maybe hook up with Professor Jack because I know he sends weapons all the time from his students.
Okay.
Um, I know when he had the seminar, he was telling me, "You want these knives?" Like because if you can't get them now, I might be able to ship them or something like that. So I was like, "I'll take them now." So I bought it from him because he said it was hard. So is there a wait list for that knife too, or those are available already?
Um, I will make them available. Yeah, I would rather have them there, and then anybody can just grab them, rather than to have a wait list. And sometimes things
Put me
happen.
down for one of those too.
Sure thing.
Definitely want one of those. So you said that you are when you're not busy, we'll do online classes, and obviously we can reach out to you on your Facebook. And the weapons, same thing. Just keep an eye on his Facebook, guys. If you want to get the weapons in his classes, I strongly suggest you follow him or try to add him as a friend on Facebook. And he can reach out to Mahaguru and talk to him about maybe setting up a class if you're interested with him. But the demos were awesome. All the information that you gave aside the introduction of the weapons was very unique, and I appreciate you and your wife coming on and showing us that. It was awesome. Is like one thing we like to ask before we always end our interviews is what are your future goals? Any future goals? Where does you go now with your bladesmithing, your teaching? what would you like to do in the future, or where do you go next?
Well, in our school, okay, we have 3 levels, just 3. We don't have like red, white, blue, yellow, black belt. No, we just got 3 levels. And in the 3rd level, the student will be taught how to make their own swords.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
right now we've got most of the students are on the 2nd level.
Uh-huh.
So we're relatively new in the art training, and we're still developing the syllabus. So what I hope for the future is that to have representatives or schools outside of Malaysia. Actually, I have a couple of students in San Antonio.
Oh wow, that's too far from there. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're for now they're just practicing, so they're not really opening up a school yet. So I hope that one day I can have schools outside of Malaysia, so that we can share this knowledge with non-Malaysians as well. We can spread this to the world, because to me, swordsmanship is not just about sword fighting. It is a therapy. It is self-healing. So it's more philosophical to me. It starts with the rough stuff, of course.
Yes.
But as you get further into it, you
And
learn the philosophy and all.
it's
So
good to see your wife is like you said. Is there a lot of women that are doing this right now too? Are they joining the classes or?
we've got about 3.
Yeah, 3. It's for now
It's a
3.
start. It's a start. All my students are women. I have like 8 women students and only 2 male students. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. Is like some of the guys, like the women are tougher than the men, because some of the guys like, oh, I don't need a knife. I don't need to do this and that. But the women are like, give me the knife. Let me show me how to use it. Do this, do that, and yeah,
Once we have the physiotherapy session, yeah, there will be more.
yeah.
We're also developing this. We're also developing this art into a sort of a physiotherapy healing kind of thing. It's not just into martial arts, but it's also into we're going into healing as well, because it involves biomechanics. So if you do it properly, it actually can help you with your your muscles and your
Yeah, the movements. Yeah, the movements.
Yep,
Yeah.
movements, yeah. So that's what my wife is heading to. So she's going to be looking into that, while I look into the combative side of it.
That's great that you guys are actually working together, Mahaguru and your wife, to better to evolve. Well, I mean, it's to evolve.
I'm just helping him.
Well, I'm saying that you guys are you guys are working as a team to evolve the system into something else, not just self-defense and battlefield, but you're actually like something to heal you for to do your mind and your body. So that's great. Not a lot of systems do that. And you're right, the blade and the movements, just like it's probably like very therapeutic. Just like someone do ballet or dancing or yoga.
Yeah.
You have the same aspect with having the blade and the sword. You get that same kind of physiological ideals, and you doing that with the sword. So my hat's off to both of you for involving that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all the teamwork.
Yeah, it's great. You're right, ma'am. It's all like, that's great. Mahaguru, once again, I want to thank you and your wife. Thank you very much, both of you. This has been awesome. I hope a lot of people that are watching tonight got a lot out of, just a little small snippet. And guys, I took the seminar, the Triple Threat, and that's what got me interested in it. I'm a procrastinator. I know I'm over here preaching to everybody they need to do this, do that, but I haven't done it myself. But I definitely want to take Mahaguru's classes as soon as I free up some time. Done with some other systems I'm doing. There's so many people that come on here that when I really I respect and I want to bring on, like you, Mahaguru. And I just don't bring people on and invite them as guests because we're just trying to. I bring them on because I respect them. I'm interested in their systems. I want people to exposed to what they have to offer. And sometime in the future, you know, I'm knocking on wood, I'm still here and everything's great. That I would definitely want to, you know, to delve into your system and kind of learn that swordsmanship. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I took just a seminar. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means or major practitioner, but I took the triple threat seminar with it, and I got introduced to it here and kind of expose you guys to his system a little bit. But yeah, this has been great, Mahaguru. I thank you. And when the book comes out, please do post on my discussion so people can order that book. You can let me know, and I'll promote it. And you know,
and maybe once my guys in San Antonio are ready, maybe we can have a class over there so that anybody nearby who's interested can come over and learn from them.
Yes, because I'm like 9 hours. I think I'm 9 hours away from San Antonio from here. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I talked to Professor Jack too. Maybe he can get you on board to come to the next seminar in the United States too.
Yeah,
that'd be great. I know a lot of people will be interested in learning it. But yeah, the book's coming out, guys. You said it probably a couple months, Mahaguru?
So the Malay version will be coming out in a month's time. The English version a bit later after that because I need to do the translation. Yeah, but definitely coming out soon, within this year.
Great. Well, this has been great, and I don't want to. I know it's getting late over here, and I don't want to keep anybody up, but I want to keep any. Yeah. But thank you for coming on, Mahaguru, and ma'am, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, and we're definitely got to do another episode in the future with you. Come on, and maybe invite some other people on and talk about swordsmanship and silat. Not just Malaysian, but maybe get some Indonesian practitioners on as well. And we just had Miss Hilda Okta on. She's the I don't know if you know her. Her husband. Her father is Bambang Suwanda, who does the Indonesian silat. And we're hoping to bring her on, maybe her dad on, talk about blades. Maybe we can bring you on too. We can have a little discussion of Malaysian silat, Indonesian silat, have a big silat party. And your wife is more than welcome to come back on again, and we'll all talk about it. And it's something I want to do. Want to give exposure more to some silat practitioners. So we're definitely going to make it happen again. But thank you again.
Thank you.
Our guru, thank you.
Okay,
And I hope you have a great day. And it was great having you. And we'll talk later, Mahaguru.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, guys.
Happy Easter,
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See you later.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Well, guys, that was great. Another great episode. Mahaguru and Nara and his wife. Wow, she really knew how to operate that sword in there. So she's been having some training from her husband there. So hopefully we get to have him on in the future, and we'll talk some more silat stuff. Bring some more exposure to maybe have some other goodies, some other techniques he can show us with some of the other weapons he has. But as of late, we're trying to, at least I'm trying to anyway, get some more silat practitioners on, like I said before. But I want to thank you for taking your Easter evening to watch us on tonight. And like I said, like, share, subscribe to FMA Discussion. And I think the next interview we have is with Guru Dean. I think he's having one next week. I think a Tuesday or something. I don't know who the person is. It'll be episode 399. So hopefully he'll post that on here or post it later. But yeah, guys, keep on watching, and thank you again for watching me on the show. A lot of learning curves I'm doing, but we're getting by, guys. We're getting by. We're getting these interviews knocked out. So thank you again for your support. Have a happy Easter. And like I said, my next interview, I have a couple of people on. Just have to confirm, and I'll make the announcements. But they'll be in May. So we're going to go ahead and get those people on, and I'll make the announcements soon as I get confirmation. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy, y'all. Peace.